GoForThe2.com in with the Week 7 college predictions. Before I get into the picks for this coming Saturday, October 17th, this weekend, college football today kicks off from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Eastern. MSG Plus, MSG Networks, check it out in the tri-state area, or go to sportsgrid.com. Check it out, 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Have some great guests. We go through all the top 25 battles, talk about the under-the-radar games, best bets, first half selections, you name it, we talk about it. And then from 12 to 5 p.m. Eastern, we talk about all of the in-game action at 12 and 1:30. Last week we were talking about Oklahoma and Texas. Some great games early on that really carried us through to the 3:30 hour. So check it out on sportsgrid.com, sportsgrid.com, college football today. 10 to 12 on MSG Plus, and then 12 to 5 in-game live on sportsgrid.com. We're going to break down the matchup between in the ACC between Miami and Pittsburgh. Miami opened up as a 10.5 point favorite. It's hanging right there in most books here in New Jersey. Might creep up to 11, so keep an eye out as this line progresses and as the week progresses. From the series perspective, Miami's won 4 of the last 5 over the Panthers by an average margin of victory of 13.2 points per game. Very close game last year in Heinz Field. As an underdog, Miami won that matchup 16-12. Both teams coming off very disappointing losses. Miami struggled with Clemson. They were a 15-point underdog by the time that game kicked off in Death Valley. They were down 21-10. But in the end, Clemson was too much physicality on the offense and defensive lines. They rushed for over 230 yards in that battle against the front seven of Miami. D'Eriq King with 3 costly picks, only threw for 121 yards, and more importantly, Miami only rushed for 89 yards in that matchup, only converted 26% on third downs. On the flip side, you had a Pittsburgh team that did not play well offensively or defensively. They did record 6 sacks against Phil Jurkovec and Boston College's offensive line. I thought when I broke this game down last week that was the matchup, the front seven of Pittsburgh going up against the inexperienced offensive line of Boston College. But credit Boston College, they had the right game plan. They challenged Pittsburgh's secondary over the top, and that's going to be the matchup to watch Saturday afternoon in South Beach. When you look at this Pittsburgh defense right now, they're holding opposing offenses to 52 rushing yards per game, but they're getting torched over the top over the last 2 weeks. Entering that matchup last week on the road against Jurkovec, they were only allowing 174 passing yards to opposing offenses. Now, they played teams like Syracuse, did not get challenged over the top because Syracuse did have some offensive line issues, but it started a couple of weeks ago with Devin Leary and NC State. They put up 334 passing yards on that defense, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. Lo and behold, here comes Boston College. The week after Boston College challenged North Carolina's defense, 2 weeks ago, Boston College threw for 313 yards and 56 attempts against the Tar Heels. They followed that up with another dominant effort, 338 passing yards, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions against that Pittsburgh defense. And that's going to be the matchup for D'Eriq King and the Miami offense in this matchup. Can they stretch Pittsburgh's defense over the top? Now, Pittsburgh's probably going to try and get pressure on D'Eriq King and keep him in the pocket, much the way Clemson did last week, where he really hasn't shown consistency. But I really think this game comes down to 2 factors. One, the speed on the perimeter of Miami and the speed of D'Eriq King at the quarterback position to break contain. Jurkovec was more of a prototypical drop-back passer. He was there. You knew where he was going to be. D'Eriq King can break contain, tuck it, and run, and that's going to be the matchup to see play out for Miami. If they can stay in manageable third downs, I think they have a good opportunity to dominate this ball game. On the flip side, you look at Pitt's quarterback, Kenny Pickett, hurt his ankle in the second half last week against Boston College. He was limping into the overtime period. He's a day-to-day decision. Still, I don't like that recipe. He's hobbled. He's not going to be able to run on that ankle as much as he wants to, and that's going to put pressure on Pitt's offensive line, but more importantly, the Pitt rushing attack. When we spoke and broke down Pittsburgh at the start of the year, that has been really the Achilles heel for Pittsburgh about why they struggled last year in 2019. 2 years ago, this was an offense that averaged 5 yards per carry. Once Mark Whipple came in last year, they got down to 3.5 yards per carry. They wanted a more balanced offense, and they cannot run the football consistently. That's putting Kenny Pickett and that offense into long third down situations, making them one-dimensional. And when you look at Pitt's offense as a whole, they're only averaging 2.2 yards per carry. To me, that favors the speed on Miami's defense. I know Miami did not look good, but again, we're talking about Clemson as opposed to Boston College. Speed kills, and I think that's the difference in this matchup. I think Miami bounces back in a big way. I know that there's the possibility of a letdown. I don't think it happens because with one loss, Miami can run the table and still get to the ACC championship game. D'Eriq King bounces back in a big way, and Miami does win this ball game by 14 points or more over Pittsburgh this coming Saturday.